Marvellous undercard here in Altrincham tonight, featuring at Cruiserweight this man, Tony Moran from Liverpool, remembered for a brave but ultimately futile attempt against Mark Hobson for the British and Commonwealth Cruiserweight titles. He was outclassed that night. Now he's rebuilding and looking to hand out a lesson in his turn to this young man, Neil Dawson from Rotherham. Two big men, 6'4" and 6'6", colliding in the middle.
Seconds out, round one.
A clash of fringe cruiserweight contenders here as Liverpool's Tony Moran and Rotherham's Neil Dawson attempt to prove that they have a future at area domestic sort of level. Some ability on show here, but big stakes as Moran goes on the attack and hopes to catch Dawson early.
I think he caught him napping a little bit there. Dawson just leaned back from the punches, which is the last thing you want to do, especially when you stand tall to begin with. So a little bit to learn, Mr. Dawson. Good start from Moran.
A bit of a nervous look about him, Neil Dawson, in the introductions. He's been sparring with Mark Hobson, the British and Commonwealth champion, who destroyed Moran in 3 rounds.
But I think Moran came out of that with a little bit of credit because he actually seemed to enjoy the experience. I mean, it was a terrible night for him. Oh, beautiful right hand. Well, Dawson's been looking for that. I mean, his chin's been up in the air. Several times he's been caught with his chin too high. That time he paid the full price.
Perfect shot from Tony Moran. Neil Dawson unbeaten in 7. First crisis in his fledgling career. Can he cope with it?
Well, Moran looking businesslike right from the start. I mean, the first punch he threw was a big, hopeful right hand. Now they're beginning to find the target.
Hands are free. Hands are free.
And a couple of wins since the loss to Hobson. Moran, and looks in confident and eager mood here.
See there, Dawson again, stepping back from the punches that he got away with at that time, but I don't know how he did. His defence is non-existent at times. There they are again.
Left hand, doubling up, and that shot puts Dawson down for the second time in a dramatic opening round. And he may have been more badly hurt by that one. Steve Gray asks him if he's okay. He's slow to come forward.
Well, these have been good punches that have put him on the floor. He seems his head clears quickly. But again, he's doing the wrong things. He's well lost the round. All he should be thinking here, tighten up, chin down and survive to the bell. But he's still there, taking silly chances.
Gets one in of his own. Dawson needed to. Just wants to hear that bell. Get back to Chris Aston in the corner. Disastrous opener for Neil Dawson.
Listen, okay, you got to have respect for other people's power, Neil, yeah? Okay, let's have some respect for his power now, okay? You've tasted his right hand. It ain't hurting you, but it's still having an effect, okay? So you've got to move that head up.
I mean, these are beautifully delivered right hands from Moran. I mean, that was bang on the button. Just caught him as he came forward. Then he came back with the same shot again later in the round. But you can see he's almost smiling as he goes over. He has a decent chin. He's been on the floor a couple of times, but his head clears quickly. This is the second knockdown. Again, defence is scattered, and the same right hand straight through onto the chin. Again, when you see him hit as well and as soundly as that, you expect it to be all over, but again, he found his feet. But he'll have to do what his corner are telling him. Tighten up, think a little bit about defence here.
Liverpool's Tony Moran comes out for the second round, having floored Neil Dawson twice in the first. Was a minute long enough for the Rotherham Cruiserweight to get his head back together. He'll need to get his boxing going.
That's the right hand again he's taken.
his first 7, but untested to now. Moran looking for win number 14.
I think Dawson is just giving Moran too much time. He's standing right in front of him, just in punching range, but not doing anything. This is it, he has to start initiating some attacks. I think he's been trying to counter Moran, it hasn't worked, so he's going to have to get his body weight forward, start trying to set the pace a bit more.
Blood from the nose of Neil Dawson, who's done well to even stay in there, but again, Moran's right hand looks dangerous.
Hands are free, lads, hands are free. Right.
Back here, Dawson, showing some attacking instincts of his own.
But again, we're seeing signs of inexperience from Dawson. He's just making so many mistakes. Moran not punishing as often as this round as he was in the first round, but he's just offering too much target.
Attempts a jab, Neil Dawson. Nothing really behind it. The height and reach are in Moran's favour. That's a bit better, though, from Dawson.
So I think Dawson needs a little bit of success, maybe to build his confidence. There's not a look of confidence in what he's doing. He's kind of pawing with the jab. So if he can just land one of these big right hands, maybe give Moran something to think about. The thing's not going his way at the moment.
Of range there, Tony Moran. Bit of a messy around. And there, Dawson just catches the Liverpudlian, and a bit of swelling too, just under the right eye. Interesting.
Seconds out, round 3.
Neil Dawson in the red trunks. Up against Tony Moran, and this the round that Moran fell apart against Mark Hobson, who is Dawson's stablemate and had plenty of advice for the 25-year-old, but Dawson's been on the deck twice. Fascinating encounter in the Cruiserweight division.
That's a nice uppercut from Moran. He tried that once or twice, but that's the first one that's come off for him.
Right hand, but then a left back from Neil Dawson. Classier shots from Moran.
Yeah, he's using a little bit of imagination. Now that's a nice uppercut lead he's using. And Dawson wide open to the way he's trundling forward. Yeah, Moran has upped the pace a little bit here.
Looking for that uppercut again, Tony Moran. Dawson inexperienced and up in level, no doubt about that.
I think there's signs that Moran may be blowing a bit now. He's looking to hide here. I mean, there was a huge drop in pace for Moran in the second round, and halfway through the third, we're seeing it again.
Now Dawson comes on, trying to use his strength. Accuracy, though, from Moran, but the physical aggression from Dawson. Who's going to win this? Can you call it?
Well, it was a massive opening round, obviously, for Moran, so Dawson's given himself an awful big mountain to climb. But Moran, for me, that was a good right hand from Dawson. That's exactly what he needs, just something to build a little bit of confidence in his work.
Legs buckle there from Tony Moran. And suddenly, Neil Dawson finds something to give his chances a huge amount of confidence. Well, well, well.
Maybe come just a bit late in the round. I mean, Moran was picking him off nicely in the first minute and a half or so. Dawson certainly looks as though he's lasting the pace a little bit better, but maybe he's produced his good work in this round just maybe a little bit too late.
Another right hand really catches Moran, who's got to go down right at the end of the third round.
5, 6.
Count continues,
7,
bell's gone.
8.
Looks okay, just about. Well, this is dramatic stuff.
Clinches now, it's all a little bit to get your breath. And that jab right up, gut's working all the time. You're not throwing it enough. Let him back into it. You're letting him back into it.
Who would have thought after that first round that that would happen?
Well, I think Moran has just blown himself out a little bit. He did a lot of good work, a lot of excellent work in the opening round. Couldn't sustain it in the second. Now he's really beginning to struggle. And Dawson looks the stronger of the two. And he's picked a nice time to get himself right back into things, scoring a knockdown there just towards the end of the round. So he's right back in this again.
Domestically, the Cruiserweight division alive and buzzing. Mark Hobson and David Haye clash in a couple of weeks' time. Down a peg or two. We're having a real dust-up here between Tony Moran and Neil Dawson. 3 knockdowns between them, and it's Dawson now who seems to be coming on strong. Body shots from Moran. What happens next?
But there's not the same snap in Moran's punches now as there was in the first couple of rounds. So he's obviously taken a lot out of the tank. Now he's the one making all the mistakes.
Huge right hand there. And Moran has to go down for the second time in the fight. And he looks badly hurt. Well, can he get through this storm? Steve Gray having a close look this time at Moran, who drops again. 5th knockdown in the fight. Is this the end for Tony Moran?
Well, I think it's more exhaustion than anything else. I mean, that certainly wasn't a thunderous punch. I just don't think Moran has anything left. He's just been knocked all over the place.
Down for the third time. Moran gets straight up. Oh, and there's...
That's because he was punched while he was on the floor. He's not picking up a rumpus. I think he took the count for safety to get away from the punches, and Dawson landed at least 2 punches while he was on the floor, and I think that's why he jumped up, started screaming. So I don't know what the referee's going to do about this.
1 point off. To add to the drama, Steve Gray for hitting Moran when he was down.
But you still have to call that a knockdown. I mean, the knockdown was legitimate, so it's still 3 knockdowns this round. Yeah, what 1 point each. Well, that kind of balances itself out, doesn't it?
Well, he's touched down 3 times, Tony Moran, in this fight now. And now he comes back at Dawson. This is extraordinary. But he has to go down again. How much more of this? Oh, he's all over the place. The fight's going to be stopped in the 4th round. It's an unbelievable win for Rotherham's Neil Dawson. Down twice in the opening session, back from the brink, and somehow he outlasts Tony Moran in a small hall classic.
Yeah, well, Neil Dawson deserves nothing but praise for what he's achieved tonight. He looked completely out of that, and the opening round looked as though the fight was all over, but he just dug in at a couple of quiet rounds where he nursed himself back into the fight, then turned the whole thing around. Moran, obviously, tactics were bad, completely run out of steam. A massive impressive opening round, but he could never reproduce the form he showed the opening round. Gradually Dawson got himself back into things, and that was tremendous all the way around. Lovely performance for Dawson and fully deserved. I mean, at this point, Moran really has nothing left. Every clean punch is troubling him. It's more exhaustion here than the knockdown punches. That was the first knockdown of the round. You can see every clean punch has an effect on him. Second legitimate knockdown. And the third knockdown was when the couple of punches landed while he was on the floor. This should be the one. See, he's on the floor now. 1, 2, yet 2 full-body shots, and that's why he reacted so angrily. I don't know that he deserved a point deduction, but thankfully it didn't make any difference as far as the result was concerned. But congratulations, Neil Dawson, for turning that all the way around.
Incredible fight. Dawson down twice, Moran down 4 times, a point off, all in 4 rounds.
Yep, as you can see, Moran just completely exhausted at this point, and I think that's actually what finished him at the end up. Just legs not working anymore, nothing left to give. Quite right to get him out of there. See, every punch at this point was having an effect simply because he was exhausted. Up he gets, but legs are not answering. Time to go home.
It's a cracking comeback from the brink win for Neil Dawson, who remains unbeaten. Amazing stuff.